future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
This is Hollywood Headliners with Rob Weller, coming to you from the Sunset Gower Studios in the middle of Hollywood. And now, here's Rob.
I just love hearing that audience. Love them. Love them to death. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hollywood Headliners. It is a hot July evening here in Hollywood. And hot topics for our show tonight. A big day in Hollywood with the Emmy nominations out this morning. We'll discuss the shoo-ins and the snub-outs tonight. Plus, with the untimely death of Glee's Cory Monteith, we'll discuss why Hollywood seems to make addiction almost impossible to overcome. And sci-fi Sharknado still makes news. Unbelievable. We'll talk with its director about the total absurdity and amusement of low-budget horror films. But first, it is... Wait, where's the thing?
Oh, I like my new music.
There it is. It's the Hollywood Headliners newsroom. They're standing by. Here's Big Andy E. and Say Rose. Hi, gang.
Hello, Rob.
Andy, you're up first. Go ahead, baby.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. There's your music.
That gets me in the mood.
That's the signal that you're on.
The top trending stories on Hollywood Headliners are the Emmy Awards, as Rob mentioned. Netflix made TV history today, the first time an internet outlet earned an Emmy nomination. Netflix got 14 nominations for House of Cards and Arrested Development. A veteran entertainment reporter will join us later on Hollywood Headliners with a complete analysis of today's Emmy noms.
Wow, was he there covering it this morning?
He was there bright and early. I think he's been up just about 24 hours.
Well, that's good. You know, most reporters hate Emmy nominations day.
It's a long day.
You got to get up early in the morning.
Been there, done that too many times.
Andy, move your mic closer.
Good. There you go.
Yeah, just because you're big doesn't mean you can stand 50 feet away.
I have presence, vocal as well. Hollywood has moved south. I don't know if you noticed.
What?
Comic-Con is in session.
Oh, yeah.
More than 125,000 pop culture devotees are at the San Diego Convention Center, many costumed and transformed into their favorite characters. They're letting their nerd flags fly for the hottest upcoming movies, TV shows, comic books, and more. The event runs through Sunday, and one of our guests tonight is there as we speak.
Seriously?
Cool.
Yeah, that's right. Have you ever gone to Comic-Con?
No, I've avoided it. My son has been.
Yeah.
I've not.
What does he dress up as, like?
He didn't. He took it very seriously.
Say, have you ever gone to that thing?
I haven't. I've sort of wanted to, but never had the opportunity.
Would you dress up if you went?
Sure.
Who would you be?
I would be...
Katie Couric.
Yes. Spot on.
And I would be Metallica. They're there this year.
Are you there already?
Metallica's there.
Oh, good.
They have a documentary, but more on that later.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, who's in town up the street from us tonight?
Alabama Shakes
At the Palladium.
at the Palladium.
Wow.
Good
They're pretty
band.
good.
Really good, yeah.
All right.
On a more serious subject, multiple retailers and drugstores say they're not going to sell this week's Rolling Stone, which features the surviving Boston bombing suspect on the cover. CVS said, quote, "As a company with deep roots in New England and a strong presence in Boston, we believe this is the right decision out of respect for the victims of the attack and their loved ones." Rolling Stone said their hearts do go out to the victims and, quote, "The cover stories falls within the traditions of journalism and Rolling Stone's long-standing commitment to serious and thoughtful coverage of the most important political and cultural issues of our day.
No.
And the fact that Dzhokhar Zarnev is young in the same age group as many of our readers makes this all the more important for us to examine the complexities of this issue and gain a more complete understanding, blah, 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 blah.
So you don't agree with that?
No. You know why they're doing this?
Eloquent,
Why?
but bullshit.
Very simple. One simple reason why they put him on the cover. First of all, if you're 25, if you're Say's age or younger,
Yep.
like 1 in 42 people are reading that magazine.
Right.
So they are suffering big time. So they put him on the magazine cover for one reason only. They're trying to get attention.
Yeah.
They're trying to get people to buy the magazine. Unless you're old like Andy.
Well, I know someone your age who bought
Are you looking at me or Say?
Your age, who bought the magazine for the first time when someone named J. Paul Getty Jr. was on the cover. I don't know if you remember this. Remember when he was kidnapped?
Yes, and they cut his ear off.
Ear off. He was on the cover, and he was a young kid. You know,
Okay,
like
but
this.
that's when it was cool and hip. And
I'm just saying it's not. You know,
Charles
that was,
Manson was on the cover in the 70s.
right. But the magazine is
Well,
suffering.
he was a musician.
No,
Right, right.
he looked like a musician. Nobody's
It's
buying
a
the
bad
thing.
move.
So all
It's
they're
a
doing
bad
is a
move.
stupid move. No, it is. It from a marketing ploy, it's a smart move. From a
I don't
moral,
think
ethical standpoint, it sucks.
It's horrific.
I don't know. I may go out and buy the magazine.
Yeah, I'll beat you there. The Glee Project. Remember the Glee Project? It will not make it to season 3. Oxygen says it has nothing to do with the sudden death of star Cory Monteith. The series, if you remember, features Glee stars mentoring contestants trying for a spot on the show. The decision to cancel came because Glee had a late renewal, and that apparently didn't leave enough turnaround time to produce the show. We'll have more on the death of Cory Monteith shortly after our break.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight. I think there's some interesting questions that. First of all, it's really sad. I mean, Gandolfini a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and this kid was just great.
Yeah.
There's just
Too soon. Way too soon
oh,
for both.
That totally sucks. Okay, Andy, thank you very much. I think we've got Say Rose coming up. In fact, I think I hear your music now.
Ooh.
No.
Oh, he just hears things in his head, and it's...
I don't get any music. What was I thinking?
I switched over. I'm doing a little technical thing.
It's Radiohead.
Ooh.
Okay, you're going with this music. Here's
I
Say
like
Rose
music.
in our Hollywood Headliners newsroom.
All right. Well, my favorite girl ever, Lindsay Lohan, just got out of rehab, and she already has big plans for the future. She will be opening up to Oprah in what will be a multiple part series about her struggles, her future plans, and her struggles.
Oh, that's good. I mean, Oprah will do a good job of that.
Yeah, hopefully she will be the right person to talk to.
If she actually finishes the series.
If she makes it through. I think she will, though, because she is doing the interview for a price tag of $2 million.
Wait. Are you kidding me?
No, that's what it takes for Lindsay to spill her guts.
It
So
pays to be a train wreck.
it really does.
You know, but don't think of it as $2 million. Think of it as a gross $2 million, and then 39% comes off of taxes. Even more if you're here in California, as my brother-in-law was just pointing out to me tonight, because I was hoping to win the lottery. And I said, hey, how much do I take home? And he said about 33%. So it's about 50%. So she'll only net out about $1 million.
For one long interview. What a shame.
Yeah.
And so this is part of the OWN network. Apparently they've been trying to ink this deal for the past 4 months. They finally came through, and it will be airing sometime in the near future.
That's a good get. That'll be a good get. She'll get big
Huge.
ratings off that. Oprah is smart.
Smart lady.
Yeah.
Another female star in the news, Emma Roberts, niece of Julia Roberts, and Evan Peters, star of American Horror Story, seem to be doing well despite the domestic violence charge that Emma was jailed for earlier this month. The star was arrested when police showed up to a hotel room following multiple calls about potential domestic violence going on. When they walked in, they found Evan with a bloody nose and bite marks and arrested Emma on the spot. Evan decided not to press charges, and Emma was released 8 hours later. Since the incident, the two have been spotted together, and they are currently working together on American Horror Story.
Okay.
It's a good day and a bad day.
I'm not saying anything.
Domestic violence charges and Emmy nominations. Yay!
Yay! Hollywood.
She seems so innocent.
See, this
on
is
the
what you
outside.
get when you move to this town and you get in this business.
God.
Whack job from A to Z.
Maybe it was just a bad day, right?
I don't know.
It's her own
Relationships are
American Horror Story.
hard.
Yeah, relationships are hard. You know that.
And finally, later on, we are talking to the director of Sharknado.
Yeah.
And they're doing a pretty interesting ploy for Sharknado #2. in terms of naming it.
And
it involves Twitter. Basically, if you think you have the best name, go on Twitter, send them a tweet, and you could be picked as the next Sharknado.
Andy, we'll have to talk to Anthony Ferrante about that.
Ask him about that.
He's coming up in just a little bit. And Sharknado's playing again tonight on Sci-Fi.
I heard it was already back on air.
It'll be interesting to see if it does better. It didn't do so great the first night.
It popped on Twitter and didn't do so well ratings, but did okay for a cable TV movie.
Yeah. Hey, there was just a couple things I've got. HBO is adding another sitcom to its stable. It's called Togetherness. It's a half-hour show that stars Brett Pearson. I don't know him.
Or her.
Melanie Linsky. You know who she is?
No.
Rose from 2.5 Men.
Oh.
She is great.
Oh,
Yeah, I like her.
She is really
She was
great.
in-
Who stalked Charlie.
She was in
And
Sweet
she-
Home Alabama.
She killed Charlie.
She did?
Yeah, she
Oh.
pushed him in front of the train and killed him.
Oh.
Amanda Peet and Steve Zissis.
Like her, too.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? Modern Family comes back on September 25th. We love Modern Family because our friend Jeff Greenberg is the casting guy, and he was here with us. And the big TV winner this week was on Fox. Major League All-Star Game got a 6-9 with a 12.
What's that?
It's where they play baseball. No? Missed that one, huh?
Great.
That's
Okay.
the one. Did you hear about the controversy about the national anthem?
Oh, I did.
No.
Mark Anthony sang the national anthem, and there was a bunch of nasty,
Really?
horrible, racist Twitter attacks on him.
Come on.
You know, it was really, really nasty.
God, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm moving to New Zealand. I'm going to get the sheep business, move to New Zealand, take my little herd of sheep out, slaughter a few of them, sell some mutton, make some money, buy some Jack Daniels, and get drunk every
Well, that
night.
will be back.
Yeah. And say there was one thing I gave you. There's
Yes.
a documentary coming out. I think it airs tomorrow night. And I just thought it would be kind of interesting. What is it there?
The documentary is called Terms and Conditions May Apply, and it is all about the information that you fork over to websites and apps. When you click, you agree to their terms and conditions. And in light of PRISM and all the NSA stuff that's going on, it's a pretty poignant conversation.
Good. All right. We're going to be back in just a second with Jen Hager from
Radar Online.
She's from Radar Online. I want to talk about Cory Monteith. In fact, I think she's calling in right now. Jamal's going to come in and help me figure out
What
how
up,
I take this
Jamal?
call. Yeah, we love Jamal. We love our Jamal. And we will be back here in just a couple of minutes as we continue with Hollywood Headliners. Thanks for being with us live and direct in Hollywood.
Carl Gottlieb wrote the Jaws log, and he was on Hollywood Headliners. And of the two experiences he enjoyed, Carl Gottlieb.
Hello?
Hey, are you there? Hi there. Hey, hang on. Don't go away. We're going to be right back with you. Don't go away, Jen.
Are you seeking tranquility and serenity in this fast-paced world? They're just a click away with Alma Pacifica Guided Meditations. Alma Pacifica offers 32 English and Spanish meditations, both in short and extended versions. Relax your mind with the gift of meditation. Share it with a loved one or a coworker at only 99 cents or $1.99. Alma Pacifica, guided meditations that can change your life. Alma Pacifica now on iTunes, the App Store, and almapacifica.com.
Take the stress out of your busy life with Alma Pacifica. Download the Alma Pacifica app on iTunes and Android today. Ah, I feel so much better already.
TrueLoveStories.com delivers the best in romance to everyone who hungers for a great love story. From our true love collections and sexy novels, the tales of love, lust, and even scandalous romance stir the passions of those who are addicted to love. Stories. Sign up for the free monthly newsletter and you'll get a free love story every month. TrueLoveStories.com. That's TrueLoveStories.com.
Now featuring exclusive Gatsby Girls short stories of F. Scott Fitzgerald from the Saturday Evening Post. Download it today at TrueLoveStories.com.
Hey guys, this is Bob from The Bob Show. I'm here every morning on ubnradio.com. Start your day off with me accentuating the positive between 9 and 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. In the meantime, here's Hollywood Headliners with Rob Weller.
This is Hollywood Headliners with Rob Weller. coming to you from the Sunset Gower Studios in the middle of Hollywood. And now, here's Rob.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Hollywood Headliners on this Thursday night here in Hollywood. With public acknowledgement of an addiction problem, Glee star Cory Monteith had been fighting his nearly half his life to overcome the adversity which plagued him. And this week, the task became too great, and he died in a Vancouver, BC hotel room. Joining us is Assistant Managing Editor of Radar Online, a great online site, Jan Hager. Hi, Jan. Jan, how are you?
Good. How are you, Rob? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much for being with us. Jen, can you sort of summarize the details that we know so far?
So what we know is that the coroner, Cory Monteith, was found dead over the weekend, tragically, in a very upscale hotel in British Columbia, in Vancouver, at the Fairmont. He had overstayed his checkout time, had come and passed, and so the staff of the hotel came into the hotel room and had found his body. He had deceased. The coroner released their toxic screening, his blood tox, and he had very high levels of heroin and alcohol. So the official cause of death was a heroin and alcohol toxicity. And his body has already been cremated. His co-star and girlfriend, Leah Michelle, immediately went to Vancouver, where he is from, and that is what we know. His body has been cremated. There was a memorial, very small memorial for him last night, and everyone is very stunned by his very sudden and tragic death.
Yeah, this is really a shocker. I mean, first of all, he's the nicest looking guy.
Right.
He was 31?
31 years old.
Yeah, and he'd been battling this. He'd been pretty public about it, hadn't he, Jen?
Yes. In fact, just 2 months ago, he went public and revealed that he had just come out of Betty Ford and said, that he never really revealed what drugs he did, but he did say that he had tried every drug under the sun. I don't think anyone realized how serious it was, but apparently Leah Michelle and his co-stars at Glee staged an intervention back in, I guess it would be April, May, and he went to Betty Ford, and he seemed to be doing very well. We had pictures of Leah Michelle and Cory on vacation together, looking very happy and healthy. And he went back home to British Columbia, Vancouver, and apparently there is a huge heroin problem up there that really nobody knew how bad it was. And I guess he was hanging out with some of his old buddies from that crowd, and perhaps some medical experts have speculated that perhaps because he'd stayed clean, he'd been clean for a little bit of time, and maybe just doing a little bit of heroin and drugs, it just did him in.
There a couple of things. I wonder if the police up there are pursuing who sold him this stuff. Who was the dealer?
No, they've said they're not going to go after anybody who sold it to him. That's just not something that they're going to pursue. I thought the same thing, and I thought they should. Apparently, Canada has a lot of places, a lot of clinics where you can go and actually be injected. They call them injection sites, where you can be injected with drugs
Have you heard of that?
legally and safely. So they don't want to be seen as going after the drug dealers. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense.
Jan, I pulled something off the internet today that was from a doctor. It said it's a little bit about what happens when you come off of drugs and why they can be so lethal. And let me just read you some of the stuff I pulled off. It says, once those drugs are cleared from a person's system, taking a big dose all at once can prove fatal. This was a doctor by the name of Benowitz. Quote, among people who have been clean and sober, if they go back into the habit, they'll usually start at the same dose that they'd had before, and their body is now sensitive to it, so they've essentially reset their body. Heroin produces a euphoria by binding it to receptors on nerve cells in the brain. And but with those receptors, they're located on the nerve cells that regulate your breathing. So heroin suppresses respiration, not by damaging the lungs, but by damaging parts of the brain that tells the lungs to actually breathe.
That you need to breathe.
Yeah, and so addicts die basically because they just stop breathing. Hey, where were you when you heard the news?
was actually home. I was home, and, you know, it was such a crazy weekend last weekend, and, you know, we had Halle Berry getting married, and then, of course, we had the, you know, Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman, the outcome of that trial last Saturday. You know, we had the verdict last Saturday, and so we were covering that, and I was working from home, and then this came across the wire all of a sudden, and it was rather stunning, you know, because he's young, and it reminded me of, you know, tragically of, you know, Heath Ledger and, you know, River Phoenix and, you know, people, you know, these Hollywood celebrities, yes, they are celebrities, but they suffer just like the rest of us, and they have addictions and demons, and unfortunately his disease got the better of him, unfortunately, for Cory Monteith.
Jen Epstein here.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm curious, do you know, in terms of his history, how early the cast and crew and producers and all that were aware that he had a problem?
They were aware for quite a while. Apparently, he'd been showing up to work in the recent weeks. Of course, the show is not in production right now, but he'd been showing up not on his A game. He wasn't like someone like Charlie Sheen that, you know, was a functioning addict. He seemed to be deteriorating quickly, and that is why the cast and crew, a majority of the cast and crew, had an intervention back in April, right, when production broke. So this was not a big secret. I think it was getting worse, obviously,
you know,
since he went to rehab.
You know, the old adage of the show must go on. Today they announced they're casting 2 new roles on that show.
Of course, the show does go on. You know, how does it go on? That's, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the show handles his death.
Exactly. How, you know, what are they going to do? I mean, there was no write-off, so they've got to now.
Well, he'd moved on. You know, obviously graduated. He was in New York, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the show was split, high school and those that had moved on. So.
Yeah, but still, he was
he was one of the
big key guys.
4 central.
They haven't made any sort of an announcement yet, have they, Jen? To your knowledge?
No, they have not. They have not made it. I think it's too new. I think they're going to have to sit around with the writers, and whatever direction they were planning on filming for the upcoming season is going to have to be shelved. You know, they were slated to start production again next month. So, you know, you would have to think that it would have to be addressed somehow on the show.
Yeah. Jen, do you think Hollywood makes it impossible for actors to overcome their addictions?
No, I don't. I think if the world and the word celebrity is so many definitions and there's so many meanings of it. But I think once a person, you know, a young star becomes a celebrity, you know, we're seeing this with Justin Bieber now. You know, he's had all this fame very young. But I think when the celebrities isolate themselves and they start surrounding themselves with yes people, that, you know, we saw this with Michael Jackson, that anyone that stood up to him, they were ostracized from his life, and look at how he ended up. But I think if a celebrity stays grounded, if you look at Robert Downey Jr., he really, you know, he's in a healthy marriage now. He went to jail. He went to prison. That was really the only thing that saved him. I think the culture, of course, you know, it's a very, you know, we cater to these celebrities and to the actors, but I believe that if you want to be sober, I think it's not probably conducive for a sober living, you know, long term, but I think you can be sober if you want to. I think if you're a celebrity and you're using, I cover Lindsay Lohan extensively. And
we talk about her a lot. You know, I worry that look, we get some yucks out of her. I mean, she is just too wacky. But
she's
I'm
someone
worried.
that doesn't take responsibility for her actions, and it's always someone else's fault.
Yeah.
But I look at somebody like Cory, who actually did go to rehab.
Matthew Perry's another one who's done pretty well.
Matthew Perry is a wonderful example of someone who not only, you know, has he gone recently public, but he's really giving back. I mean, he basically gave his Malibu mansion, he's turned it into a sober living home for men, which is what a wonderful way to give back to the community. And so I think, being a celebrity, it might make it harder to stay sober or to get sober, but I think if you're using that as an excuse not to get sober, you don't really want to be sober.
Yeah. Hey, Jen, thank you very much for being with us. And, Radar Online is a
Thank
great,
you so much.
It's a great online spot. We check it out all the time here at Hollywood Headliners. And if you're not looking at Radar Online, you're missing the bet. They do good stuff there. Jen Hager, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
And when
Bye-bye.
we return, we'll talk with Sharknado Director Anthony Ferrante. He's going to tell us why those sharks want to eat us so badly.
Are you seeking tranquility and serenity in this fast-paced world? They're just a click away with Alma Pacifica guided meditations. Alma Pacifica offers 32 English and Spanish meditations, both in short and extended versions. Relax your mind with the gift of meditation. Share it with a loved one or a coworker at only 99 cents or $1.99. Alma Pacifica, guided meditations that can change your life. Alma Pacifica now on iTunes, the App Store, and almapacifica.com.
Hi, I'm Mark Forster, the director of World War Z, and you're listening to Hollywood Headliners.
Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at ubnradio.com.
Now, back to Hollywood Headliners. Here's Rob.
Well, it seems to be... It just seems to be that sharks are our life for the last couple of weeks. We had Carl Gottlieb last week, the writer of Jaws, Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, Jaws, anything Josh.
Just when we thought it was safe to get back on the radio.
Apparently it is not safe to get back in the radio because our guest tonight is the director, well, actually the writer and director of the...
No, just the director.
Wait a minute, I thought you had a writing credit.
No.
Was it producing and directing?
No, I mean...
You must have written something.
Oh, no,
Come on, a couple of lines?
No, I mean, I did a polish on the script, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. That counts on this term.
Yes.
Is the polisher and director of Sharknado, which was a Twitter sensation last week. Please welcome Anthony C. Ferrante.
Hello.
Wow. Listen to that applause.
There's a lot of people in this room. It's really sweaty.
Very sweaty and gets a little smelly, and there's not much I can do to help you with that. Hey, welcome.
Excuse me.
There you are, Sharknado. I have to be honest. I wasn't aware of it. Last week we're talking to Carl Gottlieb. Glenn Mazzara tweets in and who did The Walking Dead, and says, how does Carl feel about this whole Sharknado thing? And I thought, what's Sharknado? Well, Andy and Say Rose have heard about it. Explain Sharknado.
Sharknado is about a tornado full of sharks that are picked off the coast of Mexico and are deposited into Los Angeles and pretty much destroys Los Angeles in the process.
Really?
Based on scientific reality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of research.
Well, there's a lot of research the government does not want you to know that Sharknadoes actually exist.
The Mexican government.
Yes.
Or really, Snowden released this. This is, and then as a result of Snowden releasing this, Anthony made the movie.
It's like a Bond villain. It's like, release the Sharknadoes.
Who was on what kind of some sort of trip or an LSD flashback when they came up with this concept? I mean, where'd it come from?
It had floated around for a little while. I wrote a script a couple years ago for the Sci-Fi Channel called Leprechaun's Revenge. And I liked that idea so much, and it was kind of a goofy thing. So in the script, there's a line about... this is nothing like that Sharknado over in the town over or something like that, and it's like, they never lived that down, So it was just one of those little throwaway things, and then suddenly there was interest in it, and then there you go.
Yeah,
and
this is horror. This is horror filmish stuff at its best.
Yeah, what it is it's
what's the milieu? What's the genre?
It's a comedy horror film. I loved like the Evil Dead movies that Sam Raimi did, and Peter Jackson's early films like Dead Alive, and even Zombieland, where you kind of take it seriously, but you're with the audience and let's have fun and let's make a silly film.
Right.
And I think that when you watch this movie, you keep going along and you're not sure, are they serious, are they not serious? And then the moment I feel like at the end where we have Ian jumping into the shark, getting swallowed whole,
right,
and then chainsawing his way out.
Yes,
that
you're kind of giving the movie away here.
Well, I think everybody else is giving it away with.
Okay, all right, fine.
But I mean, I think at that moment, if you hated the movie, if you loved the movie, you're with us because you realize, okay, they just went so far over the edge. Right. They have to be in on it.
This is sort of biblical, isn't it? Sort of Jonah and the chainsaw.
Exactly. Well, and it's a birth of a hero. He births himself out of the shark.
Wow, I never thought of that.
No, I was reading that there was another title originally, Dark Skies, and this is what I read. You tell me true or false. And then when it turns out there was another feature by that same name, and there was a title change, and the actresses couldn't believe it.
Oh, well, the hard part is if you go and try to get someone to be involved in a movie called Sharknado, it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Now it's not, but at the time, getting anybody interested in it, I think it's kind of a little dangerous thing. And so they had an alternate title. They put the title out there. But the reality is we kind of all knew. I mean, the movie, I think it was referred to as Sharknado in the script. And the actor said, we heard that they might be changing the title. It's like, well, look, if they change the title, I guarantee you this title, the Sharknado title will get so much attention. I've done this stuff for a long time. Right. I guarantee you will get more attention for that than Dark Skies.
You have to get the concept that there is a tornado that sucks up sharks and then deposits them. I have a couple of questions that I have to ask you about the scientific reality of this happening. A tornado spinning at 200 miles an hour over salt water. First of all, those are usually over land, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tornadoes over land and a hurricane's over. So the fact that now it's over it's a little fakakta. How does a shark survive a 200-mile-an-hour swirl?
It's a Sharknado. They can survive anything.
Okay, great.
You know what? They're mad. Here's the thing. If you want to know the truth,
that was a good answer.
The sharks are tired of being finned by us and for being soup.
Right.
They don't like,
which is how the movie starts.
They don't like the movies like Jaws. They're aware of it. They're totally aware of all these shark movies. They were offended by Two-Headed Shark Attack. They rallied together and they got together and we're going to organize and we're going to destroy Los Angeles and make a protest.
Okay. All right. So that may answer my next question, which is, how do the sharks aim at people going 200 miles an hour and then eat them, seeing that they're thrust by the tornado?
Because
how do they aim?
GPS.
Because the GPS. No, but they managed to be able to harness the power of the tornado, which is its friend. It's an ally.
I see.
In order to organize, you need like unions. They need to get together. So the tornado union and the shark union came together, and we're going to organize and we're going to work together to propel you out there because we know you're hungry and we know you're pissed off.
This is so freaking existential. I can't. It's hard for my mind to even wrap itself around this, Andy.
Now, I'm curious about a couple of things. Sci-Fi is doing a rerun tonight.
Yes, that'll be at, just to clarify, it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but a lot of cable and satellite outlets out on the West Coast sometimes have it on the East Coast time, so I believe it'll be 4 p.m. tomorrow. So check your listings because a lot of people have asked me, like,
Thursday
tomorrow.
And then also Sci-Fi announced.
Or tonight.
This is Thursday.
This is Thursday. Yes, this is Thursday.
I don't know what NATO you just popped in on.
And then Sci-Fi also announced, surprisingly, a sequel.
Yes, they did.
So what can you tell us about that?
I found out last night when I was watching Jimmy Fallon. It was I think it's great. I hope they bring everybody back because I think it was a great team from the cast on down. I mean, I think that we were the little underdogs that could.
Yeah, you had some hot chicks in there. You had Tara Reid.
Tara Reid
from American Pie and American Reunion.
Yes, she was great.
She's always been a cute little blonde. Mm-hmm. Your big star though was Cassie Skirbo.
Yes.
And you know what I have to tell you? I just love. Here's where I love the film. When the guys are on the beach, like it's the second scene, they're getting ready to surf, and the guy says, "Boy, it looks like a kind of a foreboding sea out there." I think I counted 7 different surf shots, and they were all different. Some of the surf was big, and it had foam, and the other was kind of placid. And did you go on like Getty Images to get that footage, or how did you shoot that?
Well, here's the problem. We actually were one of these rare movies that decided to shoot a movie set in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We started shooting in January, and we had an 18-day shoot. So if you've been here, you probably know. And I've counted it. We probably had about 3 or 4 truly official rain days in Los Angeles.
Right. We got a whopping 5 inches this year.
Yeah. So shooting a movie about a hurricane in Los Angeles became almost impossible. I mean, we could do our little rain towers for the close shots, but to get the wide shots. So it really played havoc with a lot of the continuity.
Yeah, right.
So we had to make things make it up with other kind of shots. And the biggest one is that even in post-production, we needed to get our car that drives around in the rain.
Right.
We still needed those shots because when we were shooting, we didn't have a chance to go out and get that.
Shoot in Seattle, Anthony. What are you doing down
We're
here?
We're shooting a movie in Los Angeles. We're going to shoot in Los Angeles.
Wow, you are so true to your vision.
Well, we were chasing we were doing basically Twister. We were in a car. We found one day it was raining, and the producer said, "Get in the car with the camera and go get these shots." And literally there was rain here, but it wasn't over there. And it's like my line producer's going, "It's in Pasadena. Go to Pasadena." And we get there, and we'd be sitting at the Del Taco looking at it like, the rain clouds are over there. Let's go over there. And we finally found it in Sunland. After driving all day, we got to Sunland, and we got about 20 minutes of rain to get the thing. But ultimately, we ended up doing a digital car and some digital rain because we couldn't get the rain.
You know, people. First of all, this show's
Damn you, Sharknado!
This show is going around the world, so a lot of people don't know where Sunland is that are listening in Dubai. And by the way, we're #1 in Thailand. Can I ask you what the budget was for the show, for the movie?
The IMDb says about $1 million estimated. You know, they're saying 2. It's somewhere in there. I mean,
okay.
You never know. I mean, we had 18 days. We had no money.
So 1 to 2, right? It's a really low budget gizmo.
Let's put it this way.
But you had effects.
We had over 700 visual effects shots. I believe someone pointed this out, and I don't know if I'm 100% accurate, but I believe that's more shots than the first Star Wars movie.
You know, and it's pretty much on the same par as Star Wars. It just depends on how bombed you are on Jack Daniels, I guess, to make that comparison.
We were joking.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's like, oh my God! First of all, someone just gets eaten out in the surf, and then the next scene, they're all in the bar having a drink, and no remorse, none whatsoever. I love that.
Now, how did you react to the reviews? I mean, the one headline I thought...
What were the reviews, Andy?
One headline said something like, the most terribly great movie of the year.
You know, here's the thing.
Terribly great movie of the year.
It's weird because, you know, I think it's... I don't... If people love it or people hate it, you know, I used to be a journalist, and I reviewed movies. If you watch the whole movie and you like it or you don't like it, I'm okay with that.
Right.
You know, I think it's hard for people to understand why people embraced it. And the thing is, it's a comedy. It's a horror movie that has comedic elements.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, it's got these weird lines. It's a strange movie. We sat in the editing room.
It's that time of the month.
It's a strange movie.
That was my moment in the movie.
Right. Almost cut out of it. I almost cut the line out.
We just all looked at each other. Oh my God. Classic.
It is a total classic. It was a lot of fun. What's your next film? What are you working on?
Working on a project called The Key. I don't know if it's going to be the next one, but it's a project that I had been developing for a while, and now there's a lot of interest in it. It's if David Cronenberg had directed Pretty in Pink, it's sort of about a girl in high school who discovers she has this interesting power, and it's a great script. We did about 50 pieces of conceptual art. It's wonderful.
Wow.
But I've been having a lot of people calling me in for comedies this week. I mean, just all of a sudden there's like this interest.
You're hot, huh? You're hot as a...
I guess. I mean,
what's your biggest meeting been this week?
No.
Come on, just give us. Is it a studio anywhere?
Not a studio yet. No.
Gotcha.
A lot of independent producers that are coming to me, which has been really, really nice.
And just real quick, how long have you been at this?
For a very long time. I mean, when I was 11, I think it was 6th grade, I was looking at a newspaper, looking at some ads for movies, and I go, I want to make movies.
Right.
Up until that point, I wanted to like drive a tractor.
Yeah.
And it was like and I had no idea where that came from. And then I came from a small town in Northern California, and there was no access to making movies, so I started writing movie reviews for like the class paper.
Right.
And then I took.
It's your thing.
It just became my thing.
Have you, in your career, have you been more encouraged or discouraged?
I just did it. I mean, you know, the thing is that this town beats you up, and people don't want you to succeed, and they don't want you to do this. I mean,
so how do you overcome that?
You just plow through. I've done everything so far in this town without a manager or agent. I have an amazing lawyer, and that he's got me very far and taken care of me. But I've tried to get management, and I've tried to get agents, and I've been repped, and I have a rep. But all these deals have come from either my relationships or the stuff that I've written and put myself out there.
Right.
And that's the thing that I think is cool. It's just like you just keep plowing through. I can't do anything else. No one's going to hire me to do retail. I don't have experience. Yeah. I can be creative. I can make movies. I can write, and I can do music. But that's about it. So I'm kind of screwed.
Well, I think you're probably more indicative of the film business in general now. There were a couple thousand films made last year, and how many got released this year, or just 100 and some in major release. So I think you really personify what young filmmakers really strive for. You got to love it. You got to have a passion for it, and you just do the frickin' thing. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. For you, it's working out.
Yeah. Well, look, Sharknado. Anybody else would say, okay, I'm just going to come in and just do this movie, and it's kind of silly. I looked at it as this is an opportunity for the 18-day shoot. For this kind of schedule and this budget, what we did with all these set pieces is unheard of. And when I got into the script, I started adding stuff like the whole boat thing at the beginning, where it was this big shootout, the Ferris wheel thing. I saw the poster. I'm going, how come we're not destroying the pier? And they go, okay, let's do it. So, most of these movies, you have a set piece at the beginning of it. Like the first 20 minutes is you get a little bit at the beginning, like something happens, and then and then you have scientists and military people going, oh, and then at the 20-minute mark, someone dies. This movie, the first 5 minutes, it's a boat attack and all this stuff. Then we have a shark beach attack. Then we destroy the Santa Monica Pier. That's the first 20 minutes, and then it doesn't stop from there. And that's a testament to the great crew and then the producers and everybody that was involved in this movie.
And the sharks.
Give them that organized with the tornadoes.
I love it. Anthony, thank you so much for being with us tonight on Hollywood Headliners. You are the headliner this week. Sci-Fi, it's on again tonight. Check out Sharknado. And I would recommend a couple of shots of Jack Daniels and a couple of beers, too, at the same time.
And also,
don't you think?
Yeah, and also I want people to find the song, The Ballad of Sharknado. It's there's a music video that we did right before it came out, and you can find it on iTunes. And
it is, and we've got it on the Hollywood Headliners site also. I played again, but I lost my cue. Anthony Ferrante, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back with more on Hollywood Headliners. Don't go away.
Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Hey, it was Emmy nominations morning here today, which means folks like our next guest have to arise way too early just to hear a bunch of talented names read. To talk about the surprises and the snubs is Associated Press West Coast editor Michael Sidoni Lennox. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Fine. I think my West Coast editor would be really pissed off if they were to call me that. So we'll just put it out there and just say that I'm an entertainment reporter at the Los Angeles Bureau, and go West Coast editor. They sign my checks. So we'll just make that clear.
I think that's great.
But, Rob, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I've been a fan for a really long time, honestly.
Michael, you've been up all day, haven't you?
1 o'clock in the morning stuff. So this could be an interesting phone call because it's now 8 o'clock LA time, and I've been writing, and then I just listened to your Sharknado interview, and I haven't seen it yet, but we are TiVoing it tonight.
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm more excited.
It's pretty wacky.
Sharknado.
It's pretty wacky.
I can't even wait for the sequel. I haven't seen the original yet.
No. Hey, Michael, what was the biggest surprise today?
So Jeannie Wolf, such an insider reference that you know it. Jeannie and I spent the morning together trying to come up with something. The deal, Jeannie's a veteran entertainment reporter like Rob. The surprise was that there really wasn't anything.
Oh, come on. There's got to be one surprise.
I know, there really wasn't. Is that there... We had expected House of Cards was the big news-making, headline-making thing this morning. House of Cards, of course, is a Netflix show.
That's big. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, but it was predicted. And the show had gotten a lot of acclaim. The show is on Netflix. And virtually every major pundit had said that this is going to be one of the 6 Best Original Drama Series up there. So when it got nominated, there were no gasps, there were no shocks, nobody passed out. It wasn't like, Sharknado was nominated for Best Original Motion Picture. And that would have been a surprise.
That would fall. That would fall under the Vatican rule as a miracle if Sharknado got.
But that would have been a lot of fun. House of Cards, meh. So it's nominated. It's a good show. It's got Kevin Spacey in it and Robin Wright, two big movie stars. It's well produced. It's on Netflix. It made headlines. It was my headline at the AP this morning. Was it a surprise? No. And to be honest, you really got to look and dig for some real shockers. And
wait. Are you saying
all in the minutia, Rob?
So
that's where you really find the stuff.
Michael, are you saying this was a boring year?
Well, not necessarily.
It is a boring year.
Well, I think I had more fun than the people watching the nomination reads because I got to talk to Neil Patrick Harris, who, as you know, has hosted every award show since 2008, including the Preparation H Award. So it's not that I'm directing your listeners to go elsewhere, but my first question to him had nothing to do with the awards, and he was nominated again. This is his 8th nomination for producing and hosting the Tony Awards.
Yeah, but he's really good.
Got to ask him about. I forced him to tell me which award shows he would not host. And he said the Telemundo Awards, the Westminster Dog Awards, because he doesn't like handling the loins of animals.
Get that on our website. This is an exclusive we're getting. This is a big exclusive.
There you go. I wish I could share the sound. I've got it literally right in front of me here. And he also said he would not host his children's graduation because they would not supply a teleprompter. That honestly was more exciting than anything that happened on that stage today. That said, a lot of really good shows were nominated. A couple things got first-time nominations, but I'm sort of getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
Because I know that you have a lot of these questions lined up. I've done my homework. I'm ready for you.
Okay, here we go. Rapid fire. Are you ready?
Okay. Hit me, man.
All right, so biggest surprise, you said there's no surprises.
Right.
Okay. Now, what about American Horror Stories? The second year it's kind of been acknowledged. Does this mean that the horror genre is being more and more accepted by the critics?
Okay, well, here's the thing about American Horror Story, and I don't know if you are a fan of this show, but I am a massive fan of this show. The fact that it got 17 nominations, was the top nominee of the year, means a couple things. First of all, if you're as sick and twisted as I, and Jeannie Wolf, by the way, writes for Parade magazine, and it knows Rob Weller very well. And I'm not plugging her. I just happen to be hanging out with him. She and I were
but plug me. I appreciate it. I don't heck with Jeannie. I love her, but plug me.
Right, but we plug you all the time, Rob. And in fact, I told her I was going to be talking to you tonight. And we just sort of bow and genuflect Rob Weller. Anyway, but the point is, American Horror Story, and those of your listeners who know the show will know that, of course, first of all, is that it's in the miniseries category because it essentially, is completely reimagined every year. And this year took place in an asylum, therefore it was called American Horror Story, Asylum, and took place in an asylum. And it has a lot of the same actors come back every year as they will for the new one called Coven. But we want to know what the Emmys are going to do to pay homage to its top nominee.
Yeah.
We've decided, of course, song and dance. And it has to be singing, dancing, priests and nuns, but lots of other things involved, whips and chains and
oh my God,
just crazy, romance and not only dancing, but definitely music. And we decided that it should be set to what I did for Love, and this is what. But as you well know, Rob, this is what happens with reporters.
I know.
Are up way too long,
Michael.
And they get no sleep, and they've been up 5 o'clock in the morning. But the point is, let's get back to your question. American Horror Story.
We just got 15 seconds left, Michael. And I need to have you on for a full show because you got way too much good stuff. Real quick, who's going to win the most awards for the Emmys?
My goodness. Let's say American Horror Story.
Okay.
17 nominations. It's going to take a lot.
All right, Michael Sidoni Lennox, who is the owner and president of Associated Press.
Oh, you're killing me, man.
He owns all the stock. He controls them. Hey, Michael, thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. Andy Epstein produced our show this week. A great one. Say Rose is our social media Zarina. We love you. Thank you for listening to Hollywood Headliners. Next week, music. It's all music. It's all about music. If you're a musician, you got to listen next week. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week. Good night, everybody.
Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be